Commissioner's not here. It is 5 minutes after 2 o'clock. Commissioner Malambeca, could I get you to provide us with the invocation?
Sure.
Thank you.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we come before you with thanksgiving in our hearts. We come humbly asking for your hand of protection and guidance. Lord, we thank you for giving us this privilege to serve, and we do not take it lightly. We ask that you continue to remind us the purpose of why you provide us as a vessel for this work. May we remember the citizens of this city in the services that we need to render unto them. We ask that you continue to bless us, touch every person that's in this room, and all the constituents that are represented. With this, we pray with thanksgiving in our hearts. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. What's that? Be the permanent.
Is this a hot seat?
Good morning, Ted. Or good afternoon, sorry.
Good morning, afternoon.
Good morning, afternoon, whatever. Hello. I hope everybody had a chance to review the minutes from our previous meeting. Were there any changes from the group or concerns? If not, yes. Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor then of accepting the minutes? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, Commissioner Malambeca, financial update.
Yeah, good afternoon once again. I will be covering the financials through September of 2024. Do you have,
That's one you just said back up.
so for Fund 173, net obligations remain at $142.4 million. Revenues plus interest at $158 million, rounded off. Our expenses life to date are at $124 million, with encumbrances at $3.6 million. If we go to the next slide,
Why did you not pick up the $140,000 obligation we made last month?
Last month, we didn't meet last month.
I mean, I was a couple months ago.
Yeah, so, and I need to go back.
Okay.
In fact, what I try to do is I rely on your minutes,
Yeah, okay.
right?
Just look at it and see if it's in there or not. Okay.
Yes, and I'll double check that, right?
And it was just approved by the council this week?
Yeah.
The one for, yep.
Yeah, that was the C and I work on the O'Shea contract.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
That's why probably it's not.
Well, no, actually, so I
There's an
actually
obligation.
pull it from,
Oh, okay.
yeah, from the minutes and
It wouldn't
including,
be an expense until you pay it. Yeah.
right. And
I messed you up. I sent the minutes out mid-term here.
right.
Not the day before like I know.
Yeah. Yeah, but then I'll double check, and if we need to make a correction, we'll do so. Okay, for Fund 157, net obligations are at $35.2 million. Life-to-date revenues plus plus interest at $39.3 million. We had slight interest, earned interest that came in, so that number increased compared to the previous presentation that we made. And our expenses life to date are $31.5 million, encumbrances at $2.1 million. I've started doing a bit of work, and I know Commissioner Perry is likely doing the same thing. We talked about trying to clean up some of our information to see what funds can be freed up. And I just started looking at the 157 projects, Fund 157 projects, and I do see where we'll likely be able to free up some funds. I know Commissioner Perry, you did some work over the last few days. We do need to compare some notes. But based on what I was looking at, there are funds that will be freed up.
This $1.5 million or so to grow,
Yes, that's kind of what I could see.
which is bond money, so we'll need to find some appropriate project to fund that bond.
Right, yeah, yeah. So we'll continue to do that work, but we need to compare notes, and hopefully we can share with the larger group. All right. Okay. And then the next slide, I know the prior meeting we had, I think there was an inquiry on what our revenues were looking like, and just put some data here for us to look at. And this is FY21 through FY24. Our revenues for FY24 ending September came in at $16.2 million. For FY23, we were at 16.3, so it was about 0.5% decrease. However, when you go back to 22 and 21, there was a gradual increase in the revenue from sales tax. And a number of arguments here or rationales that would explain some of the decline, slight decline. We do have internet sales tax that's coming into the city, and so there's a slight offset there. But just for awareness, that's kind of how our revenue is trending. So as we try to make decisions and commitments, at least we would have an idea of what revenue to expect. Bearing in mind, we do make a bond payment for debt service, and so you would reduce that revenue by a little over $4 million. So as we start a new fiscal year, matter of fact, what we'll do next meeting, in the obligation section, I'll go ahead and include that debt service so we know that we have an obligation for the entire fiscal year. And then, what's left there will probably be roughly $12 million.
It's interesting to see how close the last 3 years
Yeah.
have been.
So, Mr. Mallenbeck, I want to make sure I understand your assertion. So you're saying that we think that internet sales are on the increase and that's affecting local sales? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what we've seen. So this last fiscal year, the city received about $10.6 million. We had projected about 9.8, and I think that's part of the explanation is there's a slight shift with consumers going online. Yeah.
Do you remember how many years the bond for us? Is it 8 years? 12?
I think it was 10.
10?
10, yes.
So we're halfway through the bond payment.
Right. Yeah.
That's good.
So with that, I entertain any more questions.
The internet sales tax, that comes to the city as well.
Yeah.
It was the 1% commission I get, this commission and this tax was set up before that was ever enacted.
That's right.
Correct.
So there's no piece of that ultimately comes to this fund.
That's
So
correct.
that's, okay.
Yes. And that actually comes with a restriction. It can only be used for
Right.
roads, bridges, and the later on added water sewer projects. Yeah.
Now, does our 1% does not get added to things that are bought on the internet? I thought it was. I mean, I thought that was part of this.
It probably would have contemplated
Yeah.
to be,
No, yeah, but when we put a 1%, with the legislature put a 1% tax on all sales, certain kinds of sales,
yeah.
I thought it covered things. I mean, I think it's separate and apart from the internet sales tax. I mean, the internet sales tax that they said now can be collected. I thought just like they collected regular sales tax. Okay.
So it happened when I was still in the legislature, it all got diverted to exactly what
Yeah.
Mr. Mallenbeck said. And so because this was set up before, that was never enacted to collect it, I can see how it would be,
Okay.
that would be left out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So therefore-
It's an oversight, but.
So therefore, it's cheaper for somebody to buy something if they live in Jackson off the internet than it is to go to the local store.
Well,
About 1%.
It's not cheaper, they're still paying the same amount of total tax.
No, you pay a 7% sales tax.
That's fair, by 1%, you're right.
It's
That's
1%
right. That's
cheaper.
correct, yes, you're right.
Let's don't tell anybody that. But it's 1% cheaper to buy it
They're
because
not
of.
thinking that. They're thinking convenience is what they're thinking.
Yeah.
You are correct, that's what.
Okay, I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Well, you just put it on Facebook.
Uh,
Yeah.
So, but now-
Might be
All right,
personal
so that-
level.
Yeah. And that's my report.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Malavecca. We don't need much for that. No. Now it's time for our project updates, and actually, do we want to hear from Neil Schaefer first?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
part of the update.
Okay. If we could go ahead and have the Phase 1A update?
So I guess I could give you an update at the Vega Boulevard project.
This neighborhood resurfacing.
Oh, just to resurface it,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. So Phase 1A, the one that's under construction right now, we completed, or they completed about 40% of the work. You see the little handout we gave out. They've used about 64% of the time and have done 40% of the work, so they are behind schedule. The past 2 or 3 weeks, they have picked up the pace. We've had meetings with the contractor, and they assure us that they will continue to do things to try to get back on schedule.
Do we know what the delay is?
So when we added all the extra curb, the curbs, yes, and it's just, it took them maybe 2 months to do all the curbs on Peachtree Street. Granted, it was a lot, but
They didn't work for a month.
that's true.
They didn't work for a month.
And-
Supposedly gonna make a boot, but they still hand forming them.
That's right, they are. And I don't know with the boot, I don't know,
Don't know
but,
what happened to boot.
but like I said, the past 2 or 3 weeks, they have picked up the pace. They still have a long way to go. Obviously, I mean, we're monitoring it closely, staying on them. I mean, ultimately, you know, if they go past the date, then there will be liquidated damages, and it'll penalize them. So they have incentive to be done by the end date,
Which is the end of March.
and March 31st.
When this says asphalt completes the curb work to be done, I've thought about that as I've driven and I've seen curb work being done. If asphalt's been completed, who takes care of getting back to the curb when it's done? Is it the people that are doing the curb work to make sure the asphalt isn't messed up between the
Yes.
new curb and the?
Yes, okay, so, you know, it's a subcontractor doing the curb gutter
Sure.
work. The prime contractor is an asphalt company, so yeah, they'll work together when they get to
Figure
that
it out.
point. Either they'll saw cut, they'll do whatever they need to, our plan is to have them pull out the whole curb in a way as to not damage
As little as
as
possible.
little as possible,
Right.
because, so that's what our plan is.
So that March date is for Phase 1A or?
Yes, to be
Okay.
complete with Phase 1A.
Because if I'm not mistaken, the last meeting we had, we thought they would be finished by the end of the year, so I'm assuming now we're back to March.
Yes,
I-
yeah, with change order 2, we had all the curve that put the end date at March 31st.
Oh, I thought that included the change in curve. Okay.
Now that they're through with Peachtree and Myrtle with the curbs and starting on a little bit of other stuff, are they gonna come in there and start doing the paving?
But they have a little bit left on Myrtle. They want to let the curb people get 5 to 6 rows ahead, because they believe that at the pace that they're moving, that they will catch up with the mill and overlay pretty
But
quick.
there's some of those streets that don't have curbs, they can catch at the same time.
That's true,
I
yes.
mean, my concern is to have the curbs like they are and done, but not do the paving. If we get it so that we lose the paving season and it gets cold before they start back, we're gonna have some streets where the messiness of the curb is there. I mean, I realize it won't take them long to do those streets when they get in there and do it. They can do Peachtree in a couple of days.
Yes.
It's just, will they get in there and do it before we lose paving season?
You know, I'll have to address that with them the next couple of weeks as we look forward. I will say that now with the MDOT spec that was changed several years ago, there they're allowed to use more mixed asphalt. So anyway, you can lay asphalt now if it's 40 and rising. And so, you know, just because it hits December, January, depending on,
How they get shut down though?
not necessarily.
They don't shut down anymore.
I mean, obviously, if we have a really cold, wet winter, then it will, but if it's a mild winter, they could plausibly work through the winter.
And one more time, that day was March what?
31st.
March 31st.
D and D for 2 months when they put it in your saddle. But
Any questions for Neil Schaefer?
not that far.
All right, then we can.
We got one B and one C.
One C.
Yeah, so we opened bids on phases 1B and 1C on September 24th. And the bids, I don't, have y'all not, Lewis, did you, so I have bid tabs. Lewis, did you receive the bid tabs I sent? I have them, yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna look at them.
Just one second.
Yeah, it's just one page.
One page for you.
And then here's 1C.
Hey, Chris, if you have another one of those street diagrams, that'd be great too.
Hey, you got another?
Sorry.
Of the course.
Thank you, sir.
We got one C. You have an extra one C?
Yeah.
For Mr.
Oh, you got it.
Fidelis?
You got
Yes,
it?
ma'am, I have one. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right.
No, I'm good. And so the bids came in really good. They came, the low bidder on both was AdCamp. It came in really low. You know, AdCamp's a reputable company, has done work with the city before.
So 33% what?
Yes, and granted, my estimate ended up high. I didn't intentionally necessarily make it, I didn't have numbers, you know, intentionally. But looking back at the asphalt prices that everybody gave, I tend to make my asphalt prices on my estimates a little elevated just because of the volatility of that market. But, and my mobilization was high, and that kind of jacked my estimate up.
That's a good problem.
Yes.
We didn't, no, we didn't, okay.
Usually our estimates.
We're gonna wait till we get the bids.
Yeah, I mean, then 40% low on one C.
Yeah, being that many more streets, I made my mobilization and traffic control really high, because it's a lot more streets than 1B, but, you know, contractors should not feel the same way about it as I do, so, thank you.
Are those 11 to 19 miles still correct after we made the changes, or is that, or do you remember?
I believe 1C, after we took out,
Country Club?
the Country Club was about 17 miles.
Okay.
I'm just off the top of my
Yeah,
head, but I'm not
I
100%.
just, but there's still roughly 30 miles of streets,
Yes.
$13 million.
And as it says up there, you know, I guess Henry sent me an email, but I guess the city's planning department is looking at none of them, according to them, met the EBO criteria. And so, you know, I don't know how the city will move forward with that.
What is that? They moved us in the city. What is that?
It is the,
Minority participation on the contract.
What, I mean, I got that, but what does that actually mean? Because you have 4 respondents, and none of them meet any of their criteria, and the one that did. What is the criteria?
it's the minority participation in those projects.
What is it? Is it a percentage?
It's a percentage, and I can't remember what it is off
I
the top of my head.
think it's 12.8%, but I'm not sure that's right.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
And
on 1A, Dixon Bowen, who's an asphalt company, subbed out all the milling and paving, milling and
Sure.
surfacing
sure.
to a minority contractor, so they made it by like 40%. My opinion is on 1B and 1C, there's not nearly as much concrete work on those, because a lot of those streets don't have curbs on them. and there's no sidewalk. And a lot of times, people have subbed the concrete work to minority contractors, so that's why they did it. But these folks are doing their own paving rather than like the other Bowen did, so you didn't have contractor to contractor too. Now, that's just my guess about where they are. I know that's what Dickinson and Bowen did.
Yes.
They served them in
They subbed it out, yes,
They-
to
yeah.
milling and paving both to Kelly Road Builders, which is a minority-owned business.
Which got us a percentage of
And then the curb work, their curb work was done by Simmons, which is a woman-owned business, so that they met.
that qualifies as well.
Yes. Well, I believe the city has a requirement for minority-owned, Hispanic-owned, and women-owned. And there's different percentages, obviously, for those.
So in a situation like this, when it doesn't meet their criteria, what, do you have to go back out for bid, even though you've got these amazing prices on the
Yeah,
table?
that's what we're trying to prevent from doing. The planning department is going to work with this lowest bidder and see why they did not complete. I think it's just a form and putting the contractors in there.
So
They'll work with.
there's a chance they actually maybe they do meet the
Maybe a
criteria.
chance, that may be a
They just
chance.
didn't.
How long do these bids get?
60 days.
Where are we on that process?
They've started that process already.
Like
Looking at-
yesterday?
Well, yeah, according to plan, they're working with the subcontractors, and I understand, is it the trucking company? The
Yeah,
truck,
two things. One thing, the WB, which is kind of the curb and gutter work that's gonna be done, and that's WB, that's over 40% of these this bid, which is huge. The low bidder, we understand, which didn't have anything for the MBE, said that they contract out all the trucking work and to minorities. So there may be, I'm sure they haven't figured that into the calculation. We need to find out about that.
Commissioner Perry?
I got a motion on that. At this time,
Do we have any further discussion on this?
so this might lead to some more discussion.
Okay. Okay.
I move that the commission obligate $5.6 million for Nicholas Street 1B, and we also obligate $7.4 million for Program 1C based on unit prices equal to or below those of that county.
And with those numbers, wait a minute.
$5,600,000 and $7,400,000. Which is $13 million, which we have that much money available.
Right.
Because the bids came in so low, we don't have to worry about de-obligating money in order to be able to do it.
7 million low in the estimate.
Yeah.
You need a second?
Yeah.
Second.
Yeah. 7 million.
Any discussion on this?
One quick question. So we obviously, we've approved to move forward with the bid process. We haven't obligated any.
We've not obligated.
You're simply saying we're gonna put a cap on it based upon what we got in front of us
Yeah.
here.
We didn't obligate till we were going to wait till we got the bids. And we kind of committed that if we came in somewhere that, where the engineer's estimate was, we were planning on going forward. But we didn't commit, we didn't obligate anything. But now that we have bids that, this way, the city can carry it to the council. I'm not sure if I'm saying that properly right, but he carry a contract to the council and say we got obligated funds for it. Now, if there's an EBO problem, to me, that's the city's problem. We've sat there and done our job and said, we want these 30 miles paved, and here's the money. If there's an EBO problem, that's the city's to deal with.
Which is what you said you already on this.
They're trying to.
Yeah,
The problem is if they don't work it out,
worst case.
I don't want it to be us that said we didn't put the money.
Then we held
We
it.
like the low bid, we are happy with the low bid.
Great company.
If they bid it again and come back 5 million more, I'm gonna make the same motion with this amount of money because that's what we could have done it for.
We had a second earlier, did I hear? Yes. Okay, yeah. All right, If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving along.
Let's move now to the mega efforts. We
Yes.
still got some project updates.
Oh,
to make.
yes, Commissioner
Yeah.
Spare.
Can I bring up something out of the ordinary to deal with this? Several months ago, the city brought to us a proposal to look at the sidewalks and the ramps and all that for these streets. It was for all three parks. I argued at the time that we had the cart ahead.
Right.
Right now, I think it would be worthwhile if the city would go back to them with some engineer and bring us one for 1A. 1B and 1C aren't gonna be ready for curb and gutter and sidewalk work for another year. And watching what's going on with the curbs, how they're being done, you couldn't have some contractor doing the sidewalk and the rounds and whatever at the same time as other ones doing this. So I think we ought to have brought to us now is the time to start having the engineer work on the 1A streets, so that once they get through in March, we could possibly have somebody going out there and finishing up where these curves are stopping and whatever at the sidewalks, so it would move forward and not be kind of left 90% done. So I'm just suggesting that don't bring back the whole contract, but bring back a one.
Separated into three.
1A contract, we'll deal with 1B and 1C this time next year. Not quite that late, but
Because the proposal from the lady that came in here was for, I guess, for all of it.
it was for all of it.
Right. Mirrored, was it mirrored?
It was mirrored.
Yeah.
So that's just a suggestion that maybe at the next meeting, if they could revise that proposal,
Right.
and we can look at that for doing the 1A. Hopefully that then that you could get it done, we could get a contract next April, start working on finishing it up and get all these streets finished. Because right now, it looks kind of weird. People have asked me, as they're watching Peachtree, because it's in Bellhaven, you know, why aren't we finishing the curve here going around the corner? Why aren't we doing this? Well, it's because that's dealing with the sidewalk, and that's not part of this. But it needs to be.
That's a good suggestion.
We'll get that adjusted and bring it back.
What was her total proposal?
140, 145, something like that. It seemed to me awful high for the amount of curbs and streets that we're involved in. But it was 100,
It was 100 plus, I remember.
yeah.
Okay. Since you're working on the mega efforts,
Yes.
you want to just give the commissioners an update?
Yeah, it's pretty much what's up there. We're trying to wrap up all the final little pieces to get all the approvals for MDOT, being, it's an LPA job, we have to go through the MDOT's LPA division, and we have to satisfy Federal Highway Administration as well. They'll review it. It's in that process. There is some 4 small pieces of right-of-way that have to be purchased that we're working through. It's still, as of right now, we're looking at a start in the spring with construction, is where we are with that. So design is complete. Entergy, I think they're, I guess, Lewis, I don't know if Entergy's talking to you about with the lighting and all. But yeah, they're trying to get all the final pieces in place to get it, so we can advertise it.
Any questions on that? Moving right along, we're going to look at federal aid 1% project. We're at various stages to close out on these projects, Medical Road, Mill Street, Town Creek Bridge, as well as Terry Road. Just as soon as we complete all of this, we'll have these projects closed out. I think one of these projects is on the MDOT non-compliant list. And just as soon as we can get it closed out, we'll move off of that list. 2 of them, yeah.
Just as a matter of personal point.
Yeah.
9 meetings now, I've seen that Meadowbrook Road's position being closed out. That's all it says. I don't need to be told every month to do this. I'd like to know why after 9 months it's not being closed out. Really, I'd like to know after 3 months, because that's the time frame for them to. If it's gonna come up there and show up on there as, hey, we're closing out Meadowbrook, we're closing out Meadowbrook, tell me why it's not getting closed out, rather than just repeat that it's being closed out every month. You know, that's helpful of what it says about Mill Street, Town Creek Bridge. That gives us a reason why it's not closed out yet. That's what I'd rather see than just the other. You know, why is Terry Road resurfacing not closed out? It's been finished. You know, the city's been put on, slapped down by MDOT before for not having these closed out on time and won't let them do any more projects. But I know Meadowbrook Road, it's been over a year that it's been finished but not closed. And I also know of Meadowbrook Road, by the way, from looking at the stuff. There was a change order approved that it didn't have to go through us because there was extra money in the budget for the saw cutting for the curbs, which was not what was in the thing. And the question was who approved the saw cutting. Mr. Lee said he didn't know, the engineer did. And it cost another $90,000 to saw cut, which came out of our funds, but we didn't get it. We said we didn't want to pay for it, that somebody else had a responsibility for that, but we didn't want to see it paid, but it got paid anyway. I would like us to go back and look at it. And I pull out the minutes where that was discussed for that saw cutting. It's when they put in all those islands to separate the walking trail from the other. And the contract called for them to be this dugout. The engineer on the project evidently approved it. After it was done, we got told about it. We said, wait a minute, that ain't us. So I'd like to have a look at that and bring that back. Because that was supposed to be put back on the engineer for the contract, I don't know which.
We'll have to find out.
Okay, if you can tell us what's holding them up from being closed out,
We will.
be helpful.
We'll give you specific information in terms of why they're not closed down. If the material binder was not complete or whatever situation, we'll share it with you.
Indeed, with the closeout process, really, we met with the LPA on those 3 projects, why they were delayed. A lot of it is because of documentation. Although you have 90 days to close it afterwards, the consulting engineers, for the most part, are not documenting the projects as they go.
Well, if the consulting engineers get paid the big fees we're paying them,
We understand that.
don't pay them if they can't get it done. You know, Meadowbrook Road has been a year.
So
That's why we have.
That's one of the things we're actually encouraging all the consulting engineers is to actually document the project as they go and not wait until the closeout process. And so we're working with them to actually improve this process. So hopefully after we get the non-compliance out of the way, we'll be in a better shape.
On Mill Street, where you said it's on the October 9th agenda, is that council agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought you said something about him, doctors on council agenda.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
I don't know if you received a call like I did from Representative Summers. Did you receive a call about Parkside Place in Woodrow Wilson?
Yes.
What, and I drove through there. I'm assuming it may have a water leak or something. Can you give me any details on what may be the source of that issue?
Yeah, there is a water problem there. There's a large transmission line, water transmission line that runs through there. Jackson Water knows about it.
Right.
They're in the process of scheduling that to get it repaired.
Okay, great.
That's where it is.
I knew that thanks to Commissioner Pete Perry, I was able to recall that it was slated for a potential matching funds project, but I could not, when I drove through there, it looked like something bad was wrong. So.
Anything else on any of these other projects that you see?
Yeah, on the Woodrow Wilson. So we've been talking about those power poles that are in the sidewalk that you work with Interchange. I drove through there the other day just looking at it, just kind of curious. And it looked like on the south side, there's about 3 or 4 blocks, it's about 2 dozen power poles. Now there's a sidewalk on the north side too. I mean, is the expectation that Energy's gonna move all those power poles and get them out of there?
I don't think all of them are going to be moved. It's just only those that are in conflict with what the design.
There's a couple of couple of dozen that are in the existing sidewalks, so I'm just wondering,
Yeah,
I mean, are they really talking about moving them all?
well, the engineer that was working on it has left the company, and there's a new engineer working on it right now, so we are scheduling a meeting with that new consultant engineer.
Left, it's not left energy, but left this company.
Yeah, that's this company, yeah.
I mean,
So we'll get clarification in
Is-
terms of how many poles need to be moved, and what the right of way needs to be secured.
my question is, if energy says they ain't gonna move it, I mean, the sidewalk over there is not but like 2 feet wide anyway on the south side, it's not a wide sidewalk. There is a nice sidewalk on the north side. I mean, that meets the ADA requirement because you got a sidewalk on the, I mean, I'd hate to see the whole project just get killed because we got power poles that we can't get. And these are not just regular power poles, this was major lines on them, if y'all drive out and look at it, it's, you know, and if energy's not gonna move them, yeah, I realize over here on Robinson Road, they just, when we funded it, the county did it, the sidewalk running through there and the power poles in the middle of them, the county did it because they don't have this ADA issue, which is not in the consent decree. Since you got the sidewalk on the north side, which I assume is being improved as well, can we keep it from killing the project just because we got the 2 dozen power poles in the way? Because there's no, I didn't see anywhere where they can move on the south side, they just have to move all those lines to the north side. Because there's no right of way space over there.
We'll find out.
Yeah. Okay.
The other project,
The right of way.
you can see the various stages where we are on the McDowell Road. That's Highway 18 to Raymond Road. The State Street, Town Creek, that's moving along fine. The Ketchins Bridge is moving along okay. Jackson Water did agree to redirect that water line that runs, that's attached to the bridge under that street. And you can see the various stages of completion where we are on all of these projects. Any questions about it? The bridge project, a lot of discussion about Smallwood Bridge. The design work has been completed. The county is very interested in getting this bridge done. We probably need to do some type of interlocal agreement or MOU on it. I think one of the supervisors been talking to you.
Yeah.
Mr. Barrett?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Let's start separating. There's no connection between Smallwood and Addis, or Beasley and Shaw, except for the same engineers. Smallwood, one project.
Right.
Hines County not doing Addis Street.
Okay.
I mean, Hines County's looking to do Smallwood, they're looking to do Shaw, but that ought to be presented. The only connection between Smallwood and Addis is you got the same engineer.
Same engineer, yeah.
And the only connection, same thing with Beasley Road and Country Club, is 2 different bridges there. But my concern is about Shaw. The last meeting you told us that Smallwood and Shaw were basically almost complete with the design. And that's what we were telling the county. But Shaw is not anywhere near being completed. They ain't even finished engineering work.
We actually met with the engineer.
Yeah, they-
And they initially wanted to finish it by the end of the year. We're pushing them to actually finish it by the end of October.
Well,
So they're working pretty hard to try to get.
what did our contract say to do?
the-
I've looked at these contracts that were approved, and our consulting engineers are not meeting the timeframes in the contracts. And we need to do something, making, I don't know how many consulting engineers we have here that don't listen. You know, if it says they're supposed to be through by October, they aren't gonna be talking about next March.
And
That's why we brought.
This is why we're here.
I understand, I understand
Help
that,
hold them accountable.
but I'm saying that Shaw is not anywhere near what we were told 2 months ago. When you actually talk to the engineer, they ain't even done the surveying work for it. So if they can't get it done, let's get another engineer. Or county just soon give us Shaw Road, and if they can't get it done by the end of October, we ought to just quit the engineer that the county did it.
They finished the surveying, they finished the H&H work, the geotechnical work, and they are well into the design. So they promised they're gonna get the design completed by the end of the year, by the end of October. So we will continue checking on it.
We've had that discussion about the purpose between us. I mean, it's not new. This is for everybody else's benefit.
Any other questions about bridges?
Swan Lake, isn't that an EBR project? I believe it's EBR funded.
Swan Lake.
Swan Lake. We'll check and see.
Okay.
These are just some other projects that we have going on.
Who is the we that's added Lawrence Road to that project? This commission didn't.
Well,
Just one that is.
go ahead.
We have one bid. Get the bid? Yeah, we have one bid, which is over this.
No, I'm talking about on the arterial resurfacing, it says we are adding Lawrence Road to this project. Who is the we?
On the previous one, Pete, on the Swan Lake,
Yeah,
they actually just received the bids on this.
yeah, I know.
And the bids were over the estimate, so do we need to go get Moody to, Elmore to actually go over the?
I think we need to look and see it. I think I would remember seeing the minutes when I was going through catching them up, that it's an EBR project, so I want to know what the EBR funding is, if it's there. What was the estimate?
What was the initial estimate? 283 is the original estimate.
Have we obligated anything for it?
And the bid came at 327. There was only one bid.
But have we obligated anything for it yet? I'd have to go back and look
I
and
don't know.
This looks like the Swan Lake.
see. Yeah, we've talked about it. It was gonna be bid this time last year.
Okay, maybe that's what I remember.
It's supposed to be bid in December of last year. But, yeah.
So you said that's what's to something.
We're on schedule. It's fine.
All right.
For the record.
There was just some other questions about
Yeah,
it?
not on this one, my question on the next page.
Okay, on Lawrence Road.
On Lawrence Road. Lawrence Road, number one, is not an arterial road.
Okay.
It's not the same as those other roads. And when we did those other roads, we had them because they were arterials while we looked at the neighborhood. Lawrence Road is a neighborhood road, and we've never discussed it. And if you want to add Lawrence Road, the city can go do it, but we ain't done it yet, so you can't add that to that contract and pay her out of that contract.
Plenty of internet sales money.
There's plenty of internet sales money. I mean, to say we are adding, we don't have the authority to add.
Okay, all right, we will. Anything else on any of these projects?
But, I think, by the way, just same thing about Meadowbrook Road, back up that, but that bottom thing on Capitol Street, that news has been there every time. We ain't doing that anytime right away. I mean, as far as being in the package, it's nothing we're looking at doing right now, because we don't have that kind of money right now.
Okay.
So I just say,
All of these Capitol Street
no,
projects?
the bottom Capitol Street. Telling us when you get Bowling Street fixed with energy, it'd be nice to know that we don't have anything more to do with it. That Capitol Street bids and cost and estimates, that's the same thing for about 7 months, and we're not doing anything with it right now. My suggestion is it could just be dropped off. Just.
Yeah, it's a lot of dollars.
We need to do something with it. We want to do something, but we ain't got that money.
Yeah. Just thinking through all the dollar amounts that's going on here, and the guys from the Shaker just left, but when we pay them their engineering fees, are we paying them based on percentage based upon their estimate, or we pay them what, fee? Because if the estimate is double what, we pay them on the estimate, and it's double what they're actually going into the roads, or for any of the engineers for that matter.
I think-
What is the structure in which we pay engineering fees?
Now, I understand it, but I think this has come up a long time ago.
Yeah.
We're paying them a flat fee.
Okay.
And how they come up with that fee, I've always wondered. It seemed to me, before Robert Lee, Dr.
Williams.
said it was based on 12.5% of what the project was, which would be the estimate, and he was trying to move it up to 15%. So it was the flat fee that we're paying, as I understand it, was based on,
But if, so if, in that scenario, if it's 15%, or it's 12.5%, it was based upon 8.3 million plus $12.2 million, and it came in at 5.5 and 7.3, we were paying a significant percentage of the project.
Yeah, that's one of the things we're gonna be looking at, actually review, so there's a couple of things, this percentage is typically, guidance. The actual determination is really the length of the contract.
Okay.
Because you're gonna have to have an inspector there full-time, and if the contract time is 12 months.
let's see and I, he's talking about the design.
Oh, you're talking about design or CNI?
The C and I based on
This-
hourly
that's
rate.
specific, yeah.
Yeah.
This is the actual, this is not Wagner, this is, Neil Shaker's project on the
Right.
one and two, and again, it's based upon what they projected to be the estimated project, it's almost double. You know,
Yeah, so they're supposed to be providing an amendment for the CNI
to
work.
to reduce the fee based
Well, we
upon.
haven't talked to them about it
But
yet.
that would be for reducing the C and I.
Right.
But the basic design work, the first money we gave them, well, yeah. I mean, we gave them a contract to do the preliminary engineering on 1A, B, and C. And then added another $140,000 to that. Was that for the C and I? That was for C and I. But they've gotten the C and I, which is based on the length of the contract, but you're saying that the original preliminary engineering
If they
work.
base their flat fee on what they project the project to be,
Yeah.
and it's a 12.5 to 15%, and it ends up coming in at half the price, then that's a significant
Yeah.
percentage.
Yeah.
It is, but again, the design fee was a lump sum fee, so really you can't go back retroactively and do it. But for the CNI, since it's coming up, we need to really review their amendment. So I don't know what recourse the city has to go
But
back and.
is there not a way to be able to, I get this lump sum, I mean, maybe there's something you can't fix, but going forward, I know Neil Schaefer and all the other engineers in this room want to do work with the city of Jackson. How do you structure in a way to it being fair? You know, and not-
This is
it all
one
has to
of
be
the things we're
reconciled.
looking at.
If it just said it was 12.5%
But the
of
architect
the,
did.
I mean,
the actual
architects and
bid
engineers
instead
are two
of
different
lump sum.
things.
I understand, but just.
Unfortunately, we would be
non-negotiable.
crediting back to the owner, but our contracts aren't nearly as good or favorable.
Yeah, I mean, I realize it's different, but yours, when you start off on a contract, it's based on your estimate, but then you have to credit it back if the estimate, if the project comes in less. What if it comes in higher?
And the fees go up.
The fees go up.
But
It's
that's,
usually tied to
that's
percentage.
percentage based, and these are lump sum
These are lump sum,
contracts
yeah.
that are based on percentage on the front end, based on an estimate that they assume the project is gonna be that we agreed to.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, it came back in significantly less, and because it's lump sum, it is what it is. But they shouldn't be asking us for more CNI when there's.
Let me,
The CNI, we need to negotiate with them.
Let me-
So once we
let me
get their
play-
amendment.
let me play devil's advocate on the other side of that. This particular contract, I think the principle is good for looking at Elmore Moody when he's gonna design this bridge over here. You know, when this one started, we had a list of a bunch of streets, and it just kind of, I think, reached up and grabbed $300,000 based on the number of streets that were.
Right.
And there was no estimate done at that time about what the project was gonna cost. We didn't know, because they had to go look at them to figure out how many miles, how many tons.
Did we pay them a specific fee for that then?
We gave them $300,000. That was a flat fee. Everything else we give them to C and I. We gave them a flat fee. It wasn't based on a percentage of their estimate because they didn't have an estimate at that time. Now, I don't think we give them.
Typically, when the scope is not defined, you develop a schematic phase, and then you basically for them to evaluate it and come up with a realistic estimate, and then you base the design on that. So really, we'll probably skip the step in the beginning to actually have a better confidence of what the projects are.
Yeah.
But again, this has already happened, so and it's a lump sum contract, so we really can't do anything.
But I don't think we paid them any money other than the $300,000 for what we normally consider to be preliminary engineering. Everything we paid them has been based on C and I, except for that $300,000, I think.
On these projects?
We gave them one A, B, and C. We gave them a list of 150 streets. Because they weren't one A, B, and C then, it was just,
Right.
that came about when they took the map and circled these three big areas. There's just 150 streets that we came up with, and they were for $300,000 supposed to go, you know, come up with an estimate, tell us what it's gonna cost, figure out how many tons of asphalt had to be used and all that other kind of stuff, and bring us back that estimate.
Okay.
Because I don't think it really took a whole lot of engineering, because all they just are doing is saying, cut out this,
It's distance,
yeah, this much curb and gutter, and this much curb and gutter.
But they didn't have to quantify the list.
They had to quantify
Because
the list.
this was the list we got from the neighborhood associations originally, right?
They had to quantify that list.
Yeah.
Well, it's a cut down list from neighborhood association. But we just gave them this and said, quantify it for us and tell us what it's gonna be, and that was for $300,000.
I mean, I appreciate the question, because
I think the question-
we're in charge of spending the taxpayers' dollars the best we can.
I think it's a perfect
Just like
question.
approving two contracts that are significantly lower than estimated. So,
I think the question applies to
Let's
all
do
these.
I mean, yeah, we should
But
be
we
trying
pay-
to
we
make
pay
sure.
them.
I don't want anyone not to get paid their fair share of what they deserve to get
Yeah.
paid. I'm not saying not at all, but it needs to align with the dollar amount that's actually spent.
Well, just a good example, if we could ask Elmore. Elmore, you've done half a dozen bridges, but let's say you're doing are you doing the Medgar Evers right now? All right, but let's say Shaw Road Bridge. We started off, we gave you a contract for $80,000 to do the engineering on Shaw Road. I think I'm making up the number right. How did that number come about? Where does that $80,000, when the city comes to us and says, we want $80,000 for preliminary engineering for Shaw Road Bridge, how does that number get developed?
Usually I sit down and look at my man hours, my effort, that I'm gonna put into that bridge or whatever it is to come up with that project. So I actually look at my man hours based on my engineer survey and all that.
And then you just go to the city and say, you'll do it for $80,000.
Yes, sir.
But that's, you say that's not based on the estimated cost of that bridge.
Very seldom I do estimated hours.
Commissioner Perry, didn't we run into this a while back? For some reason, I think it was West Capitol. Do y'all remember that?
We've had this discussion before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little different, but
Yeah.
I think
It
it was
wasn't
more
Neil
around
Schaefer, it was
C&I
somebody else. but-
fees than
The West Capitol C and I.
Yeah, it was. No, okay, it was.
That was C and I. And who was controlling what they were approving. I mean, I think it's a great question about how do you come about with,
Yeah.
how these fees are being developed.
You know, again, over the years, we've had a guideline of 12, 15%, whatever. But again, I used to work with the city back in the 90s, over here. But we actually, I think it just maybe in the mid-2000s, we started looking at more lump sum. Maybe before it was always on hourly basis, but it evolved over the years. But so we always, that's why I said we always look at the number of hours it's gonna take, just with my technician hours, just with surveying and whatever, and then we come back and, you know, that's how long we do it.
But that's not competitive because they're not comparing you to Little Shaver or Wagner.
The engineer will let us bid.
I know.
That's basically bid.
That's what I'm saying, it's professional services, so you can't, so it's taking your word for that's what we think it. What would it take if it went, I mean, I'm not saying which is better, what would it take if it went back to being like the architect, like it used to be, that it's gonna be 12.5% of the project cost? Is that legal?
Yeah, but this is a different type of contract, so,
Yeah, I know.
so percentage of construction is one area, but you have to go back and adjust it at the construction phase.
Could we ask the city to take, maybe I'll ask 10 or 12 major projects and take what it actually final cost was and what we paid the engineer for it, what the percentage is. Like Colonial Circle Bridge, the estimate was $535, it came in $100,000 less because they made a change. But what do we pay that one, or, you know, any of the projects that are complete? Get some bridge projects and get some road projects and see what the engineering actually look like and compare it to. I think it'd be a good.
Yeah, and I think that'd probably be pretty easy. I don't know that we just put, there's a file on each project, I'm assuming, right? With all
Yeah,
the
it's-
costs that's loaded into it, so it's all been flat fee for the past X
Well-
number of years, we should be able to figure out.
There is a file now for each project with the new system. Prior to the new system, the only file we got's mine.
We'll trust you.
Because the year to year to year, they didn't add, if it overlapped on the fiscal year, the new system takes care of that. Yeah, we could,
It'd be good to know. I mean,
It'd be good to know.
if we've overspent by, $3 million over the course of the past 4 years because of the structure of the contracts.
and it'd be interesting to see whether.
Or underspent for that matter, I don't know.
It'd be interesting to find out that Elmore's are coming in at 9% and Mary's are coming in at 16% or something like that. I mean, I'm giving you credit on that. She's not here, so I can say that. But, it would be an interesting study to see. Okay.
Good.
Moving on.
We move on to the next, Cynthia. These are just some ongoing projects that we have not, we're putting all the information together, so we can those, on the books. Fix the road, floor, and downward. Any questions on any of these?
Just not on those. I know we lost Robert Lee, who sat on that committee that decided what was funded. Do we have any idea of why they turned down Pascagoula, whichever one it is that goes out to the interstate again? I know it was on the list that was submitted.
Yeah.
I mean,
They go through a scoring process, and they have so much money,
yeah.
the way it was explained to us when we went to the meeting, and they go through a process, and as a result of that, these are the projects that met their criteria. The others that we had submitted did not meet it based on their scoring process.
I know when we did that one 3 cycles back or something, Robert said it's because they looked at, both of those were one way, so you got half the amount of traffic, because they submitted Pearl and Pascagoula. It's 2 separate projects, but they don't meet the traffic numbers. Somebody ought to go be meeting with this MPO committee and saying, a 1-lane entrance ought to be taking double the traffic if you want to put it in the store, because that road definitely needs to be done. And MPO, it's a perfect MPO project, except I think it scores wrong because of the traffic, the one-way traffic. They won't have another call for another year, but I mean, I think it's.
Okay, that's all I have.
All right.
So can we go back to Swan Lake, because the bid came, do we need to take any action on this? Because the contractor, how many days do we have before the bid is out?
I think it's 60 days, I believe.
The original estimate was 282,000, and the actual, MPL was the only bidder at 327,160.
We approved anything for
I
that?
think we have.
Have we?
Yeah, so I'm actually looking, this would have been from 173. I don't see it on my list. Unless I missed it from
So
the
we need
minutes.
some action if we want to move
Yes,
forward.
I'll make a motion to approve, 327,000.
We round up, what is the policy we use?
Round it to 330.
330.
If it, put a qualifier in there, because I feel sure I've read in here that
But if it's been
there's
previously
EBR
approved.
money involved in it. So we were gonna pay the overage of an EBR amount,
Okay.
like we did on McRaven Road and Colonial Circle. Because those are both EBRs. But put some kind of qualifier,
Then if it's not EBR, then we'll go up to 330.
Yeah.
Second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Anything else we need?
No,
Action on? Okay. Good.
Any further discussion or other additional business? I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
Second.
We're out of here.
Thank you.
1 hour.
All right.